Hello vinyl community, it's Mike MGK Boston back with another video. Today, something a little different. I was zooming around YouTube like you do earlier this week actually, I take that back. I was on YouTube, but a channel I wasn't familiar with, a guy named Headley calls his channel Another Fat Bearded Guy Talking About Records. It's a long name, I'll say it one more time, Another Fat Bearded Guy Talking About Records. He commented on one of my videos, so I went over, of course, like you do, and checked out his channel, and noticed that he hasn't made any videos in probably 5 or 6 months, but he did have a vinyl tag he did back in 2021, a country music vinyl tag, and those of you that watch my channel know that I'm a big fan of traditional country and western, so I thought this looks fun, and unlike the usual New Year's Rob Walker thing we do, this one is not 20 questions, it's 17 for whatever reason. So I thought this looks fun, and the questions were really good too. So I thought, hey, I'll have a crack at this one. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, vinyl tag 2021 in 2023. But what are you gonna do? It's still the content that matters, and keeping it interesting, folks. So anyway, again, it's 17 questions. So question number 1, I will begin. The oldest country record you own, date or release of recording. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to be looking down at these questions. So going back to 1965, as far as originals go, this is an original press on the Star Day record label out of Nashville. This is just a compilation, of course, of the old possum himself. It's George Jones, King George, if you will. That's his full title for the purposes of this one. Anyway, long live King George. So this is just a compilation. It's got 12, 14 songs on here. Why Baby Why was probably the one most people would know on this. There's a couple of spiritual ones on this. So we got Jesus Wants Me. There he is. There's George with the flat top haircut right there. That's a great shot. And You Gotta Be My Baby's another one. These are all like 2.5 minute numbers on this one. But yeah, I picked this up probably a year or two ago. But it's quite listenable. I like this early George Jones stuff. I pretty much like any George Jones, the late great that he was. And again, 1965, the oldest country record I own. Number 2, the newest country record in your collection. It can be a new release or a new acquisition. Well, this is both of those things. This was released in 2020. It's the Mavericks, featuring the great vocal stylings of Raul Malo. And you can see here the hype sticker. It's the first ever Spanish Mavericks, the first ever Spanish album by the Mavericks. 180 gram, double LP set. Great artwork on this one. So yeah, my wife Patty got me this one for a gift. I think I've shown it before, but yeah, what the hell, I'm gonna show it again. There's Raul Malo right there. 7 or 8 piece band. They're coming through here west of me, a place called Webster, Mass, late this summer. Thinking about going, but it's about an hour and a half ride. I don't know. Bit of a homebody these days. I gotta get out more, right? Not that old. But anyway, couple here. Again, these are all in Spanish. But of course, Raul Malo, his origins, he was Cuban American, so obviously he was fluent in Spanish. And it has a beautiful voice. A lot of these were traditional Spanish songs that were done by a lot of different people, including Mi Olvid de Vivir, right there. It actually was done even by Julio Iglesias. And La Sitiera, that's another good one you could look up on here. And again, it's the Mavericks en Espanol. All right, number 3, a record you own on a country music label. I could have counted that Star Day with the George Jones compilation, but show this one too. What the hell? Sun was a label, rock and roll and country artist. So here you have Charlie Rich, another late great, the Sun Story Volume 2. This was a reissue from 1977, but this is all his stuff from late 50s into the early 60s. So he does a great version on here, the Don Gibson song, Lonely Weekends. Excellent version on here, a CC Rider. Of course, all of these recorded in Memphis. And yeah, so these are the Sun series, this Sun Story compilation. You can see here's some of the other artists there that they put these compilations out. You know, of course, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, and of course this Charlie Rich that I'm talking about. Story of the original label, legendary Sun label of Memphis, Tennessee. And that's the Sun label right there. All right, an international country record anywhere other than the United States. We'll go back to my homeland. You all know I'm originally from Ontario, Canada. So is this guy. It's Charlie Major. This is his major label debut on Arista in 1993. He came on with this one super hot. He'd been on the scene playing the bar circuit so for a dozen years. So this was well deserved. He finally got signed. Story goes, he wrote a big song for Ricky Van Shelton in the late 80s and became friends with Ricky Van Shelton, and I think he helped him get pushed into a deal with Arista. So again, this breakthrough is called The Other Side. First, this year in 93 and 94, he was, I think, Country Male Vocalist of the Year, the Canadian equivalent to what you have in the United States, the Grammys. Up there they have, it's called the Juno Awards. So Charlie Major, he got that Country Male Vocalist of the Year back to back. Not that I'm a big fan of award shows, but that's a pretty big deal in Canada. And so this, The Other Side, the title track on this one's really great. I'm Gonna Drive You Out of My Mind, I'm Somebody. A lot of the themes through his music, it's like the blue collar experience, kind of a la Bruce Springsteen, if you will. And he even has that look with the, with the jean jacket, and there he is on the back. It's almost like a Born in the USA look right there, but he was not born in the USA. He's from Ottawa, Canada, Ottawa, Ontario. So again, that's Charlie Major, The Other Side, 1993, the release date on that. I hadn't listened to this in a long time, so I'll thank Headley for that. Dug into some stuff I haven't listened to in a while. There's a nice fold out of there he is right there. Yeah, the Ottawa Valley is where he was from, so there's a lot of farming around there, and that's a farm. It looks like a farmer's field. Charlie Major, The Other Side. All right, number 5, a bluegrass, string band, or old-timey record you own. All right, I have no bluegrass in my collection. I'm just not into it. But this is David Grisman, famous bluegrass mandolin player. He did this Garcia Grisman album right there. That's the name of the album. It's just self-titled, The Two Artists. And there's just a bunch of photos. You can see sort of Garcia and Grisman right there. So it's a mix of tunes on here. They do a great version of the Dead tune. Friend of the Devil on here is a good one to look up. And Rockin' Chair is another good one too. And really not much on the inside, just track listing there. And there's Jerry, and there's David Grisman. Example of a bluegrass record. Number 6, a record from the artist you have the largest number of LPs in your collection. It's going to be this guy, the Rhodes Scholar, Air Force pilot. This guy was a real Renaissance man if there ever was one. It's Kris Kristofferson. So this is his 3rd album. It's certainly not his best, but I like the cover art on this one, so I thought I'd show it. This one, his first 2 albums were so huge, he was kind of suffering from a bit of writer's block on this one. This is not a really awesome record by any stretch, but I've been a bit of a completist. I have a dozen now in my collection of Chris's stuff. He's still with us. He's getting on in years. But on this one, Border Lord, the title track, is a pretty good song. Kiss the World Goodbye is also good. And I believe this photo on the back was taken on the Canadian tour of that same year in 1972. So again, Kris Kristofferson, his 3rd studio album, and that one's called Border Lord. Example of the artist I have the most of in my country collection. That's Chris. All right, number 7, a live country record you own. There we go, the late great Jerry Jeff Walker, Viva La Terlingua. 1973, the release date on this one. Recorded in Luckenbach, Texas. One night, this is all from called From One Night event, I believe. And there's all the band hanging out in some old kind of saloon, probably there in Luckenbach. So there they are. Excellent track listing on this. They do a great version of Desperados. That's a Guy Clark tune. Desperados Waiting on a Train. Backsliders Wine. London Homesick Blues. That's a Gary Nunn composition. And Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mother. That's a good one too. And there you go. Gary Nunn plays on this, plays piano. There's the personnel listing right there. And again, that same shot of the band. And but there's some other shots of the band hanging around before they did that concert. All right, a country box set or collection. So I have a couple, but I thought I'd show this one. It's very unique. This is actually on the United States Marine Corps record label. Who knew that was a thing? I certainly didn't until I bought this, and I bought this at a show, and I paid only about $6 or $7 for this. It's a real steal. It's a 6-record set. It's not for everybody though, because between each song you have a DJ talking. So I actually really enjoy listening to college radio. I always have. So I still listen to a lot of that because I like to hear people talking about the music just like I do in the vinyl community. I like to hear people talking about the music and why they like it and make recommendations, etc. So this is very unique. So I have a friend, he just retired actually, but he was in the Marine Corps a long time ago, and he knew about these records. He says, oh yeah, they'd play these in common areas sometimes, and in recruiting offices they may be playing in the background, because you can hear the DJ. He'll say, thank you for your service, fellow Marine Corps members, and if you aren't signed up for the Marine Corps, think about doing it. So like a recruitment tool, if you will. So yeah, so there's little notes on the back. Sounds a solid country, plays again, because this is like volume 12 or 13. It says, that's right, neighbor, here's the latest toe tapping favorites. And so you've got everybody on this, like this is 1970s. So you got Lynn Anderson, Eddie Arnold, Dave Dudley, Donna Fargo, Don Gibson, Merle Haggard, Tom T. Hall, Charlie Pride, Ray Price, Johnny Paycheck, Dolly Parton. It's a shopping list of the big ones right there. So 6 record set, like I said. And let's see on the inside here. You can see the logo right there. It's the neck of the guitar. So yeah, again, that's the sounds of solid country on the U.S. Marine Corps. You can see right there, U.S. Marine Corps Public Service Program right there. Okay, example of a box set. A country duet record. Well, this is all duets, and it's featuring centered around the great Willie Nelson, just turned 90 a couple of weeks ago. And this is a showcase of some real talent. Got a version of Pancho and Levity here. He does with Merle Haggard. Jesus, Carlos Santana's on here even. Look at that. That's just so funny to see Carlos Santana right there beside Julio Iglesias right there, who I mentioned earlier. To all the girls I loved before there. They had a huge top 40 hit with that, big crossover hit. Julio was hot at the time on the scene in the early mid 80s when this came out in 1985. So Strike While the Iron's Hot, Julio, and they had a big hit with that one. And then they all went to Mexico, Carlos Santana. So yeah, Mel Tillis is on here too. Like I said, it's a half Nelson because it's half Willie Nelson and half everybody else. So that's a duet album right there, if there ever was one. A country record you would recommend to someone new to country. Well, if you've watched my videos, you know I'm a traditionalist. I don't go for anything really beyond the mid-90s. Like Marty Stewart, I'm a big fan. He's got a current band, the Fabulous Superlatives. I love those guys. I like the first Sturgill Simpson album is another one. Margot Price is good. There's a few good ones out there that are still playing traditional country and western, but all that bro country crap, yeah, it's rubbish. It's terrible. So this is a pleasant mix of old and new. I'm a big Dwight Yoakam fan, and this is his second studio album, 1987, the release date on this one, Hillbilly Deluxe. He's looking pretty Hillbilly Deluxe himself. So I say a mix of old and new. He was new. However, part of the whole Bakersfield, California sound, his main mentor was Buck Owens. I'm going to talk about him in a minute. So they're both from Bakersfield. So Dwight Yoakam here. All very traditional country and western. Little Ways is a great track on this. Please Please Baby, Read and Write and Route 23, Little Sister, This Drink It'll Kill Me. This whole record's really great. There he is on the back, looking a little somber with the head down. So again, that's Dwight Yoakam. So I mentioned I mentioned Buck Owens and Dwight Yoakam. Just thought I'd throw this in for giggles. It's produced by Dwight Yoakam, and it's on the New West label right there. This is an album of all Buck Owens covers, because Buck Owens was like his country music dad, if you will. So yeah, My Heart Skips a Beat, Crying Time, Close Up the Honky Tonks. This is really, really awesome. I would consider this essential if you're a country fan. It's Dwight Sings Buck, and the release date on this one was, I want to say, 2006, 2007, something like that. All right, favorite country album cover. This one's pretty hilarious. It's the President and the First Lady. Who knew? President George Jones. Well, we know stranger things have happened, right? So yeah, there's George and Tammy, and she's the First Lady, of course. So this is one of those TV specials, you know, you'd see back in the 70s and the 80s. Order now, you know. No, it's not on KTEL. I don't even know what this label is. But I just bought this at a used shop a few years ago, and it's good because it's a collection of a dozen tracks. There might be 14 on this. Yeah, there's 14, and it's all the essential duets with the two of them here. So Golden Ring, of course, was probably I'd argue probably their most famous song. We're Not the Jet Set. Someone I Used to Know is really great. Living on Easy Street, and Two-Story House is another great track. But that cover's hilarious. And that's why it's probably one of my favorites. All right, where are we at here? a country 7-inch or 10-inch record. I don't have that, so I'm gonna show this brochure. This is from the Country Music Hall of Fame. When I did the tour back in 2012, I did the side tour to RCA Studio B right there. There's Marty Stewart I just mentioned earlier right there. And you can see the logo for the Hall of Fame right there. So yeah, that's very worthwhile. If you ever find yourself in Nashville, you should look that up. And I have a couple of photos. I just had to print these out because they're digital files. There's the bus. So when you're in front of the Hall of Fame, you just take a 5-minute bus ride to Studio B and you get the VIP tour for an extra fee. I can't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. And this is again 10 years ago. My daughter's 18 now. There she is, a lot younger. And there we are in the studio right there doing some mixing. I'm such a tourist. Look, I've got my backpack on right there. A couple of shots there. I just thought I'd throw those in for laugh. So yeah, I didn't have a country 7-inch or 10-inch, so I thought I'd throw those in. What the hell? Number 13, a record released by a small, private, or independent label. All right. What did I have for an example of that one? Oh yeah. So Buck Owens, this is on the Hilltop label. Sorry, I had to get my bearings there. So yeah, they were a division, I think, of Pickwick. So again, this is the release date on this one, 1969. There's Dwight. I was just talking about Dwight and him. So it's Buck, and there he's got some chick hanging over his shoulder, stalking him. And High on a Hilltop, What You Gonna Do Now? My Last Chance with You, Smooth Sailing. Great one. So let's see if we can see the logo here on the inside. Yeah, so he was on right there on the Hilltop label. So that is Buck Owens. Right there, an example of a small, private, or independent label. All right. A country music grail you're happy to have found. I'm not one to go in for grails and all of that, so I'm just going to show something that I'm really happy that I found in really excellent condition for a few bucks. Everybody's seen this before. It's 1969. It's Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. Again, I'm not one to seek out the grails because I'm always looking for deals. And this again was a great deal. The jacket's worn, it's got some ring wear, but I cleaned the record and it's like mint. It plays great. So of course, you know, it's Folsom Prison Blues, sort of an example of a grail, but it's not because you can kind of find that anywhere. But try finding one in good shape used. All right, an alt country or country rock record you own. All right. Going to go with Jason and the Scorchers, but I thought I'd go with these guys. You never see them in the vinyl community, although I shouldn't say that. I just watched a video by Chris Prophy the other day, and it was something like records he hasn't listened to in a while, and he showed half a dozen records, and the Beat Farmers was one, not this one. He had another Beat Farmers one that he showed. This one's Tales from the New West. This is their debut from 1985. They were from Los Angeles, California. In that genre of cowpunk, just like Jason and the Scorchers, if you know those guys. Crossover, right? Kind of rockabilly, more rockabilly than country, but really good. There they are on the back, looking right there, looking pretty country. And then what you got on here? Reason to Believe is a good one. They do a version on here of Springsteen's, that's actually a Bruce Springsteen song, Reason to Believe. And they also do a version on here that's really good of There She Goes Again. That's a Lou Reed song right there. Track 2, There She Goes Again. That's also an example of a really good cover on a country album. So it's the Beat Farmers. Tales from the New West, 1985, the release date on that one. An example of alt country or country rock. All right, number 16, a country record from a country subgenre you own. Well, I just mentioned rockabilly, so here you go. It's Robert Gordon. This is his 5th studio release from 1981. He's another late great. He's no longer around. So on this one, a good example, my friend Matt Street, he really is a big fan of Marshall Crenshaw. So Matt, if you're not familiar, Robert Gordon does a great version right there of Someday, Some Way. That's probably Marshall Crenshaw's biggest hit. So it's done there by Robert Gordon. And again, the release date on this one, 1981. This is really great stuff. I have a few Robert Gordon. I really dig it. All right. And lastly, a favorite country repress you own. Okay, so this one, not sure. This is like 1981, 1982. Of course, you know it. It's the Flying Burrito Brothers right here. And yeah, it's everything here. It's Graham Parsons. I don't know who these two chicks are in the middle, like some models they just had. Hey, we got to get some girls in here, you know, and there they are wearing their nudie suits. And yeah, there's Chris Hillman right there. So yeah, it's late great Graham Parsons. Everybody's seen this one a million times, so I don't want to go on about it. But if you wanted to look up a good song on this, I'd say if you don't know this, Dark End of the Street, that's probably my favorite song on this album, and it's the Flying Burrito Brothers right there. The Gilded Palace of Sin. How did I forget the name of that? I just spaced out. Gilded Palace of Sin. This is a repress from, again, 1982 or 83, I believe. But yeah, in really excellent condition. I got a good deal on that one too. So finally, folks, I'll say one more shout out to my friend Headley, another fat bearded guy talking about records. I will leave a link in the description to a video he did, the video I watched recently. I watched the tag that he did and another one he did on some country artists. So very knowledgeable guy. Go check out his channel, and I'll leave that link so you can do just that in the description below. I finally nailed how to do that a few weeks ago. I'm getting all high tech, folks. So anyway, thinking about entering a contest. My friend Steve over at All the World's a Stage has this thing cooking. I'm going to probably do that today or tomorrow as time allows, but I wanted to get this one out there today. So happy Saturday, whatever you're doing. Hope you're enjoying it. We're having a great I'd call this an early summer day, even though it's still spring. So anyway, folks, I will see you next time.